What's up, y'all? Tell me what's really going on. We gonna ask the rainbow cards what's happening. Alright, so I'm gonna use this little deck. I'm gonna pull one card from each of the colors and see what insights we get. We're gonna start with the first color of the rainbow, the Roy G. Biv. We're gonna go with red first. The red cards. See what messages. I got this little deck from someone on the street. He sold it to me for $3. Okay, two fell out, and it says, "What is missing?" What is missing, and what are your healthiest choices? I'm seeing all the pieces of the puzzle there for what is missing. It sucks if you're like putting together a puzzle and you don't have all the pieces, right? Because you can't make the complete picture without all the pieces. And what are your healthiest choices? It's interesting. So for today, for Father's Day, I made some roast vegetables for my dad, who's 93 years old. He was actually drafted way back in the day into the segregated U.S. Army, and then the Army integrated. This was during the Korean War, Korean conflict. But the healthy choices, like I'm getting, and these are about embodiment. So like your person, I feel like this is speaking to kind of like first house energy. So like you, your body, yourself. And perhaps if you're not feeling complete, if you're not feeling like your whole self, then what are the more healthy choices that you can make to get there? What are you feeding to yourself? What are the things that you do as ritual for self-care, for nourishment, right? Because sometimes those things can be on autopilot. I'm also getting like, all of the ingredients. This is like the ingredients to go in the dish. These are the building blocks, the pieces that make up the whole, right? So I think you have to really start to think about, all of the parts. So that may be helpful for someone out there. So we got for embodiment. So what is missing and what are your healthiest choices? Let's go to the O. Which is create. So what are the things that we should be creating, Spirit? What should we be creating? See a bunch of little chihuahuas over in the car next to me. In the window. It's not hot in there. Okay. What if you were to simply go with the flow? Go with the flow. what happens when you go with the flow. I think this is that thing of you know, I think a lot of times, especially myself, I'm born April 19th, it's the Aries Taurus cusp. In the birthday book, they refer to that as the day of complete control. Now, I can be a very controlling person, but I'm not. You don't have to be born on the day of complete control to be a very controlling person. But what you begin to realize is that it doesn't matter how much you want to control. Things go best when you go with the flow, because you really don't have any control. Things happen in divine timing, right? On the other day I was doing the reading, and I wanted to mention this, and it kind of escaped my mind, but I was speaking about the fact that, you know, I've been, you know, sporadically uploading videos to YouTube, and you know, not getting a whole lot of traction with that, but I was going with the flow recently, where my roommate had these really large koi and goldfish in like a 150, 200 gallon tank, a really large tank. But the fish, you know, after several years have really become too big for the tank. And I really was trying to encourage him to, you know, find a way to save the fish, because once they get so big and they're in that small tank, they either try to jump out or they will die. And these guys had already knocked the glass from the top of the tank. So it was getting down to kind of a critical moment, and I found since he wasn't making any movement on it, I found a fish rescue in New York for him and sent the information. And when he sat on the information for a while, I just decided to reach out myself and kind of coordinated that. And it just so happened that in the process of doing that, of going with that flow, the fish rescue team was actually working on a documentary. So they asked if they could come over and film. So perhaps you'll see me in a documentary at some point, you know, with the New York City Fish Rescue Team. And it was a lot of fun, in spite of, like, you know, whatever lack of support from other people, or, you know, attempts to kind of derail those efforts. It actually turned out to be something much better than I expected. And so, you know, I maybe want to, you know, make my YouTube channel pop, but in going with the flow, there's other opportunities that arise for creating content. So perhaps, you know, you want to make your YouTube channel grow, or maybe Twitter is the platform for you, or maybe Instagram, or maybe TikTok. I don't use Instagram or TikTok, so I don't know. But, you know, you can always find ways to go with the flow, and that's a part of creation. Like, you know, I met an artist years ago. I met a ton of artists, but there's one particular artist. I was out on my balcony, and on the balcony next door was like a hostel type brownstone next door, and this artist was traveling around the States. He was from, I want to say, Germany or somewhere, and really kind of speaking to how, you know, we talked for a while. He was telling me about how, you know, really when he's creating art, it just feels like something comes over him. It's like, you know, it's just, he's in the flow and tapped in, and it just comes out. And you know, I think sometimes with creating and with art, you know, we, instead of just like letting it be fluid and letting it come out, we, you know, try to have too much structure, too much control, right? And perhaps it would be useful to, you know, to try and be more connected and more in the flow of things, right? This looks like an ice float, or like a glacier meeting the ice, right? And that could be like, I'm getting like kind of stepping stones, so maybe you don't see the entire pathway, but as you move forward, the ice floats along, so by the time you get to where you need to step to the next on the next stepping stone or the next ice float, it's actually, there's been a bit of continental drift. You're in a new position to make new steps towards something very different, right? And at the bottom of that was what's beginning to thaw. So maybe things that have been locked up and not making movements are finally beginning to make some movement as the ice begins to thaw. Okay, it's almost like we're moving up the hierarchy of rainbow needs. Happy Pride. We're going to activate next. Let's see what we get for activate. What kind of actions can we take as we're getting in the flow and making sure we have all the pieces? What actions can we take? Spirit, this is for activate. Tell me what's really going on. Alright. What are you aspiring to? What are you aspiring to? It's like I'm getting business, climbing the ladder, getting that, corner office. So I think this is about, setting a goal, really just saying, okay, what is it that I want, and really visualizing that objective, right? And I would say setting the goal and then coming up with a strategy to achieve that goal, like laying out a strategy, thinking about the tactics that you might want to use to achieve that goal, but really keeping in mind that you just have to go with the flow. So you may have a strategy that you want to utilize, right? But sometimes it may be hurry up and wait, right? But you can't let that throw you off. You actually have to just wait for it to happen, right? But it's really important to think about what you're aspiring to and to set up your goals and keep things organized. This looks like I'm getting like a small business. I'm getting that someone really has the ability to kind of grow a small business, and this may be like some really good idea that maybe you haven't even started it yet, but it's the ability to kind of really get this small business going and to really build something for yourself, right? Someone may be thinking about planting something or natural products, perhaps making some type of natural product that you sell. Connect is next. We're at the G in the Roy G Biv reading. G is for green, and green is for connect. And green is for vegetables, money, connecting, networking, getting to the bag, as they say. Oh. How can you feed your relationships? See those loaves of bread there. this I get, relationships are important. When I have worked in business, relationship management was always very important. Having like good relationships with your clients, good relationships with your your external partners, your third party partners, whatever. And I think you have to kind of cultivate those relationships, right? And because I think sometimes there's the standard fare is like, okay, you have to X, Y, and Z needs to be done just to run the business. But when you think of ways to kind of step outside of that, like not bread alone, but there's other ways to really nurture those relationships, right? And I think this is about not just networking, but taking the network that you have and really, activating and nourishing those relationships, right? How could a tribal council help? Yeah, and this may be, I feel like someone there's something that like a gem that perhaps is waiting for someone, but really connecting to your tribe and really, kind of being present in the tribe will bring that, and getting in the flow with the tribe again will bring that thing that unlocks, like a key to unlocking like this new potential, right? And this out like around this campfire in the tribal council, it just feels very, I don't want to say pagan, but it feels like it has a lot of ritual. So it may be that, with your network, thinking about how can you create ritual with your network, right? Is that like, hey, let's, every month all get together and do X, Y, and Z, right? That's kind of what I'm getting here. I think I'm also getting like Blindside, because I'm thinking about Survivor. I'm a big Survivor fan. And at the tribal council, the person that's getting voted out usually is blindsided. Not all the time, but that's something that happens. So this could be also like, don't be blindsided. Like, think about, you kind of have to put some thought into like all the potential outcomes. You have to do the calculus to make sure you understand everything that's kind of happening. Okay, let's go, Roy G. Biv. Ooh. Okay, so this is, I need to go with blue next. Blue is for express. It's a really important one because, sometimes it takes a lot. There's can be a lot to really, express yourself. People don't want you to express the self that you want to express yourself in. Today people are afraid, like, oh, the kids are too expressive. They want to wear, little girls want to wear boy clothes. Well, if that's how they want to express themselves, let them express themselves that way. I think probably some of the older generations kind of suffer from collective kind of throat chakra blockage, right? And it's very difficult for them to see a new generation not having that. That's just very expressive. Like, I look at my little nephew and his language skills and vocabulary with his friends, but then like, with older adults can be very quiet, but just like how articulate he can be with like, his peers is really impressive. And I think that's like the thing with this generation that was born with like all of this access. They're just like really much more well equipped for communication. They're like, birthed in this VR augmented AI communication connected communication, era. All right, so let's see what we get for express. How can you make your mark? It says, please help us protect this during the return trip to our after unloading. Please do not close all secure, all top, close all secure. Okay, so these are some instructions, and people have left their tag, right? So I'm getting like, what's your tag? What's your mark that you're going to leave? What's the meaning behind it? And where are you going to put it? Where do you leave your tag? Do you leave your mark someplace no one can see it, or do you put it on the side of the train that's going to like go all over the city? So I think that may be helpful for someone. It's about like, your efforts. You could be like, for me, I'm on YouTube right now recording this video, and I got like 25 subscribers, but that's okay, because maybe 5 people who aren't subscribed will see it, right? But there may be other places for me to post it where I may get a much larger audience, right? So I think, again, it comes back to that about where you reach your audience, and like what that. It's not just about, and I'm getting like, kind of use business term, it's not just about the reach and the frequency, but it's about kind of closing the loop, like thinking about the end, whatever that goal is that you want to achieve, like what are the things that you do to get to that particular goal, right? And at the bottom of that, who can you talk to? Everybody has on Crocs. It's like a very, it's who are you comfortable with, right? Like, it's a very, it's so beneficial to have people who you can be comfortable and transparent and really, be authentic with, and that can be very, very, very rare to find, to have someone that you feel that type of way with, that you can trust and like and do that with, right? I'm also getting a bit of rainbow colors here too. So someone may be in the LGBT community, someone may be working with children, and this could be, so usually we're comfortable with our family, but it's about, the tribe that you're comfortable with, because sometimes it's not your family. Sometimes it's just like your chosen family, right? That you can really be comfortable with and trust the advice that they give to you. Okay, for the last two we have Roy G, Biv, blue, indigo, violet. Okay, and now here are my two colors, right? Blue, I did the blue. I'm gonna go with source and then discern. So source. What do we get for source? The source. Hey, little Chihuahua. I'm New Year at the dog too in Chinese astrology. What's beyond words? Come on now, love it. Ooh, look at that sky. This is so what's beyond words. Certain things can't be expressed. Certain things, can be a feeling. It can be a sign. I've had, kind of spiritual visions, and there's no words in the vision, but the message is very clear. You understand the message, right? beyond words, right? And what truly matters right now. You know, when the sky, I give you another story. So, I smoke a little vape sometimes to, you know, make sure I don't smoke cigarettes. But someone was kind of annoyed by my vape smoke, and I was thinking, you know, you sit here and inhale E6000 glue for, you know, hours on end, and you don't seem to be affected by that, but I get it. And then shortly after that kind of little scenario, the entire city was like engulfed in the smoke, and everyone was breathing, was struggling to breathe, I guess. And so I think, you know, it's a lot of things are relative, right? What truly matters. You know, we can get very frustrated about, I'm certainly, this is the case for me, I get frustrated by certain little small things, and I have to tell myself to be patient, be patient, be patient, be patient, don't freak out, be patient. Yeah, so I think that's what that piece of message is from Source. Source is saying somebody needs to be patient. The thing, what's more important? Like, you know, the most important thing should be about your spirit. We get caught up in a lot of 3D kind of, you know, material things that, you know, ultimately don't matter. You can't take it with you, right? And so I feel like this is about, you know, really seeking the kingdom first, and then all things that you want, you'll be able to have. And of course, to do that, it takes discernment. What are we gonna discern? What can you discern from current circumstances? Now, in this picture, you can just see the bottom of this champagne flute, but you can see the shadow. So even though you don't see the entire champagne flute here, what you see is that the sun is shining. See a bit of the sun ray reflecting there, and then the shadow that's being cast, and you see this kind of ring of light here. So I think that this is about using, you know, kind of context clues. We don't see the entire picture, but we see something. There is some evidence there, you know, and I think this is evidence about what's to come, because when we drink from a champagne flute, it's about a celebration, Charlie Murphy. And so we want to see that something good is coming and stay faithful to the good that is coming, rather than, you know, being pessimistic, say, oh, I put in this much effort and I still haven't succeeded in it. But you know, maybe it's a slow trickle, and right now all you can see is the shadow, but you're getting toward that celebration and the champagne flutes, right? What is out of place? I don't know, this rust and erosion here kind of gives me a map. So is it that is this movement? Is this like travel? This little leaf has fallen from somewhere, but it's sitting so elegantly right there on top. And this gives me too like a bit of, you know, if something is out of place, right? Say you want to come here and you want to clean this, where you blow all the leaves away, you scrape off all the rust, and then you repaint. So it kind of gives me like a pruning and a fresh coat of paint. And then so perhaps there's this need for doing just a little bit of tidying things up, getting rid of the things that aren't needed, and, you know, making way for the things that you want to come, right? Okay, so that was my big rainbow deck that I picked up. Let's see, I don't want to get them all mixed up because I kind of like how I have them sorted like that, but I'm going to grab my Poe deck and let's get a card from the Poe deck, right? To wrap it up. Let's wrap it up with a card from the Poe deck. The strength. It's card number 8. I get infinite possibilities. It's just about, you know, how strong you can be. Because I think a lot of the things that we just discussed, like, you know, being patient and waiting, and not being thrown off by not seeing the end results, it sounds very easy to do, but it does take a lot. It actually takes effort. This card reads, a feeling for which I have no name has taken possession of my soul. Woo. The lion in there has one eye. This is like, you know, finding that inner strength. It's like, you know, being shocked by your efforts, being like wow, I did that, right? This is major arcana energy. I feel like that's really dope to kind of get this card, because this is a very good card. It's like the sun almost, you know, the strength, because you know, I associate both with Leo, but this is really like the star in you kind of stepping out, you know, and hopefully in a good way. Hopefully it's a feeling that's a good feeling that's taking possession of your soul. You don't want it to be even though it is kind of scary. So, but I get this as being like brave, stepping into something new and really making like your dreams come true, right? At the bottom was the Ace of Pentacles. Can it get any better than that? I don't think it can. Yeah, so that was my reading, you guys. Give me a thumbs up, please, and a subscribe. All right, and peace.